Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Fans, today we have a very, very, very special guest. One of my favorite right-handed pitchers, well, one of my favorite pitchers, period, in the Dodgers organization. Peter Heubeck joins Dodgers Daily for the third time. Peter, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so last time I talked to you, you're in a car. You just played pickleball. I think it was raining, may have been snowing and sleeting. Now you're in the sunny, warm of Arizona, right? So take us through where you're at as far as your off season, your routine, and all that.
Yeah, so I'm in sunny Arizona right now. Fortunately, been this off season I've kind of decided to spend a little bit more time out here, just working out, being able to throw maybe a little bit earlier in the off season, getting out here in the warmth. So I'm enjoying it.
This last season was easily your best season as a professional. You've kind of worked your way up perfectly in a progression. You had an ERA of just 3.05, an average against of 184. You had a whole bunch more strikeouts than you did innings pitched. Talk about this great year.
Yeah, looking back at it, I was pretty happy. Some positive, some nice stuff to work on for sure. But overall, definitely happy with kind of how I'm progressing. I feel like I have a lot better idea of who I am as a pitcher. So it's been really fun.
One thing that's always cool about you is that you're very analytical. You like to have deep thoughts as far as, hey, how can I get better? And the Dodgers really let you do that. Dave Anderson's very creative. I know Sean Coyne, Ramon Troncoso, they love doing those things too. So take us back a couple of years. I know you had a conversation. You weren't pitching the way you wanted to, and you sat down with your pitching coaches and you're like, hey, we need to change something. We need to put a plan together. Can you take us back to that?
Yeah, I actually think that conversation probably happened multiple times with probably multiple different coaches. Honestly, I think those first little year and a half in Rancho with looking back with Duran, then with Coyne, it's been really cool to have those guys kind of see you first couple of years, then being able to get reach back with them and ask for help just since they've seen you all along. So it's been cool to do that.
Yeah. So you're a guy who you said, I've talked to you a couple times, hey, I want to sit 96. Like right now I can hit 96, 97, something like that. But you really have felt like that you could actually sit at 96. So where are we at with the velo? Yeah,
I think this velo it's ticked up probably at least a mile and a half from the year before. So it's around probably mid 94s. So still climbing and still kind of working toward that hopefully 96 goal, but feeling a lot better, feeling super strong.
195 is the goal. What are you weighing right now?
I'm sitting at 190 right now, so I got 5 pounds till spring training to put on. So I'm feeling real confident with that.
All right, fantastic. So what are your goals here in the offseason? Tell us about your routine and kind of some of your goals that you're trying to take into next year.
Yeah, I think obviously with the weight gain stuff, I'm working on that. That's been a thing for the past couple of years, but I really think I've kind of established a decent plan. Obviously tweaking a lot of things, in the weight room with different strength coaches and stuff. But really, focus this year is kind of getting more into throwing a little bit earlier, I think, and kind of spinning off speeds a little bit earlier than I have in the past. That's what I'm kind of working on right now. So.
That takes me right into my next question. You've always had the big curveball. You and Jared Karros both spike your curveballs. It gives you a lot more downward movement. So first of all, let's talk about that big curveball and how that works for you in a professional set. I know you could wipe high school hitters out. You got drafted directly out of high school. You could wipe high school hitters out with it, right? But I'm sure you've had to adjust it or at least change the way you use it in professional ball. So talk about your big curveball.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, the curveball, that was kind of my bread and butter coming out of high school, and just really learning how to use it. And obviously professional hitters are a lot different, and they get better as you move up. So what I've kind of worked on this past year is just really specific counts that either I can steal a strike with the curveball or get a swing and miss with the curveball. So it's almost like it's still one curveball, but it's broken up into different usages at this point.
Yeah. Two different purposes, huh?
Exactly. Right.
So is you're getting me over the one that you steal for a strike, right? Does it break less or does it break more and you just have to start it higher?
It's honestly more like vision and where you're starting the pitch for me, for what it's been. So it's pretty same metrically, very similar pitches, but just like where you start it for myself.
So is there a different like signal for that? Like, hey, here's my get me over, here's my strike two, strikeout curveball, or is it just, hey, you guys both have to know the situation?
I think that's a lot of part of game planning, like early on, which I think Dave did a great job this year, whether it been Q, Nelson Quiros, or Gullies, or any one of the catchers we've had. We've done a really good job of kind of getting a meeting in before the game and really getting a good game plan in.
Yeah, so you didn't have a slider when you came to the Dodgers, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Right. So your slider's slowly becoming one of your better pitches. So talk about where your slider's at right now.
Yeah. So the past year was the first full year that I've had it, and I've been just a lot more comfortable with it. And what I've realized, I mean, it's really, I feel like I'm a whole new pitcher with that pitch, honestly, just because I can control the strike zone really well and get it for swing and miss, 2 strikes when needed. So it's been huge. It's been such a game changer for me.
Yeah. So do you play golf?
I do.
Yeah. So do you have that one club that you trust on the driving range, but you don't trust like if there's water in front of you?
100%.
Yeah. So is your slider still that pitch, or if you see that pond right in front of you, are you still throwing that slider? Have you got that confidence yet?
Honestly, so I think that's the really cool thing that happened this year was I gained that confidence. Like it was, if I had a 3-0, 3-1, obviously fastballs, but like if I needed to throw a strike or something, it was first option was almost always slider. So that was really cool just to see as me, just for myself, just like the confidence building with that pitch. It's been cool.
So do you enjoy driving the ball or putting?
I like sticking with my wedges. I don't like the driving. I'm not a great driver, and I'm shaky on the greens at best.
Yeah. So you're a professional pitcher, right? So you have to be good at golf. There's no. I mean, you just have to be good at golf, right?
I know. There's no. You can't be bad. You can't be mediocre. We got enough time on our hands. We got to be good. Okay.
So 4-seam changeup. We haven't talked about your changeup yet, but the curveball, the slider. So is that your mix still?
It is. That's my mix. I've kind of messed with the idea of mixing in a slight 2-seamer just for some ground balls. I think I had 0 double plays this year, which next year is going to be
really?
One of my
Well, they swing and miss too much on you, man.
Well, I think a big part of my game next year that I need to develop is the ground ball, just getting more ground balls and ending at bats earlier.
Yeah. So kind of in that same line, Dave Anderson calls it having a bridge pitch. Like you have these big breakers, like I'm sure your slider has a lot of depth to it. Your curveball definitely does. So to give you a bridge, maybe like a cutter that's kind of in between those big breakers and your straight fastball. Have you worked on anything like that?
Well, so my slider is more of a bullet slider. So like statistically speaking, it's moving the least amount of inches, which is kind of funny, even less than the fastball. So that could
really?
be, yeah. So my fastball I think it's averaging like 20 vertical and like around 8 horizontal, and the slider is more like 3 and -3. So it's around 0 and 0. So it's quite literally moving the least amount, which is kind of a funny concept.
So if you could get just kind of a 2-seam that does the same thing, but turn right, that would be a big deal for you, wouldn't it?
Exactly. That's kind of the next step to my pitching repertoire, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you more confident against right-handers or left-handers, do you think, or does it matter?
I think I'm still slightly a little bit more confident toward righties, but I think this year I faced a lot of lineups had like probably 5 or 6 lefties in it this year. So I got a lot of practice against lefties this year. So that helped a lot.
Yeah. Do you notice your plan of attack changes based on the handedness of the hitter, or is it based on just scouting report at this point?
It's mostly scouting report. I think I still stick to my strengths regardless of lefty or righty, but other than the kind of the more intricate things come from just scouting reports.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the cool things about you is that you're very analytical and you're just absolutely in a different world as far as your sequencing, at least understanding the type of sequencing that you need to execute. So can you take us through some of your go-to sequences?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of different like go-to combinations, I would say. I think, and I think it also varies between hitter and hitter, just kind of how they're playing at the swing works. But, fastball, curve, but like my fastball plays the best at the top of the zone. So obviously like that and the curveball, like off of the fastball has always been kind of my kind of bread and butter. But this year I was kind of more implementing the glove arm fastball and the slider right off of it. So that's something that I worked a lot on.
Next year, going into next year, do you have any goals as far as, do I have any statistical goals? You had a great year statistically this year. Do you keep raising the bar that way, or is it just all about the process?
Yeah, I would love to, improve on stats and whatnot. But I think, my goal right now is just to be the best version I can in spring training. So I can, just like work spring training, just work toward there. And, I'm confident of the work that I'm trying to do in this off season. So
yeah. So setting hitters up, we talk about you being so good at that, right? Mm-hmm. And so then it just comes down to execution, which has been what you've been working on the hardest as a professional. So do you feel like you've closed the gap some between the sequencing that you want to try to accomplish and then also the execution?
I think so for sure. What I've strike out a lot of guys. I walk a lot of guys, but I think one next step is just trying to end at bats earlier, which I haven't been used to because I feel like my whole life I've been almost chasing swing and miss, which kind of a new concept is pitching at contact in a way and just trusting, which is easier said than done. But that's definitely something I'm working on.
You got really hot in June and you got extremely dominant in July. Take us through that stretch of the season and what made you so successful during that part.
Yeah, that was a fun 2 months. I was feeling extremely healthy and just really dialed in with my game plan and just very confident going to each start. I think after that little All-Star break, I kind of had a couple hiccups and was working on my pitch count went down a little bit. So I was just working on getting back into a groove. So
obviously you have the incredible swing and miss stuff. You had the incredible year this year. So the next step would be to put the ball in the strike zone as consistently as you would like to see it, right? So is that something you think about because you're worried if you think too much, you'll stress over it? Or is that something you just continue with the process and figure it'll fix itself?
My goal is to trust the process and just hopefully and just let it take me where it needs to. I think when I do struggle, I think that gets in my head a little bit, trying to force myself to throw a little bit more in zone and never ends up happening. So that's definitely something the mental game of it, that's big as well.
Okay. What thing do you think you're doing right now or a set of things that are good enough to be a consistent major leaguer?
That's a tough question. I think what I need to get better at to become a major leaguer is just like repeating the motion. I think that's huge for me. I think that's what. Yeah. There's many things that separate people, but I think for me personally, that's a very, very key thing to my success.
So have you tweaked your motion to make it more repeatable then?
I have. Whether in bullpens, like I'm tweaking it often, even though it doesn't not huge, not very dramatically, but whatever way I can just feel comfortable, like whatever way I feel the most comfortable repeating and balanced, that's kind of what I'm chasing.
Okay, man, that's all the business I got for you. Ready to answer some fun questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, you grew up really good friends with Gavin Sheets, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Major leaguer, you get to see him in spring training because your facilities are right next to each other?
Yeah, I'll see him around.
Yeah, so what's the best advice he's ever given you?
I was with Gavin at the Ravens game a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure how much Advice. I mean, I've worked out with him in the off season. You know, he leads by example, which is it's cool to see. But I think his dad gives me better advice than he does, to be honest with you. He was my high school coach. Yeah. Yeah. He keeps me humble every time I see him. And, it's always good to see those two.
So you're a professional. And so like first thing you learn as a professional is nobody's coach. Everybody's a first name because you're all on the same level, right?
Right.
So
right.
Is it Coach Sheets or is it Larry yet?
I think it'll always be Coach Sheets.
Always Coach Sheets, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Larry Sheets was your head coach there, played in the major leagues, right? Cal Ripken Jr. was one of the coaches when you were growing up, and your dad was one of the assistants on that staff. That was your childhood, right? I mean, What a childhood. So do you have any set of memories or one specific memory that you can just think back on, like, man, that was so cool that I got to do?
Yeah, I actually do. This is kind of outside the baseball field, but I think it was my maybe 11th birthday. 11th birthday maybe. There's a Baltimore like collegiate league, like that summer ball league, and I would always go with my dad and friends. And I had like my 11th birthday party there, and Cal Ripken showed up, which was super super cool. I would never forget that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
So, yeah. So that was super cool. Super. I mean, obviously it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
That absolutely is. Okay, so like I said, last time I talked to you, you had just finished a game of pickleball, right? Yeah. I got to know, are you any good at pickleball? Is your game getting better?
You know, it's getting all right. I think I honestly learned from playing with the older generation. You know, they don't move as quick, but they really know how to place the shot. So I think that's the key.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You know, you said you're living with Jack Dreyer and Gator, Austin Gauthier, right?
Yes, I am.
2 undrafted free agents, 2 of the most competitive human beings ever. Have you played them in pickleball? Can you beat Jack Dreyer in pickleball?
I haven't played them in pickleball, but that would be a competitive game because none of those guys like to lose. So
yeah. Have you ever played him in chess?
He's tried to teach me how to play chess. Okay. So he's the teacher.
Okay. So last thing before we let you off the hook here, you mentioned just a minute ago, got to know all about the Ravens. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? What are your thoughts about how the season has gone so far?
Man, it's a roller coaster. I think if they can cut the penalties down and maybe the secondary can get a little bit better, I think they got a good shot. I mean, I think Lamar should win another MVP, maybe Saquon, but I think he's right there. I mean, they got a shot.
How many games you been to this year?
I've been to 2 or 3 games this year. So
nice.
Been to quite a few. Yeah. Caught a couple right when I got back from the season, and the game against Philly right after Thanksgiving.
All right, fantastic. Peter, thank you so much for joining. Hey, any final thoughts as far as, maybe some goals for next year or anything that might be on your mind before we get out of here?
Not too much. Just looking forward to having a good spring training and starting there. Hopefully that sets the tone for the 2025 season.